Hi, I'm a Mac.
And I'm a PC.
What you doing there, PC?
Oh, just checking my Clash of Clans. Hi, as you can probably understand from our little skit in the beginning, we're going to be talking about...
Why I'm better than him.
And PCs are the master race. Okay, so let's get into something like that. Okay, so why have you been a Mac all these years?
Actually, I was never a Mac originally. I grew up PC because my dad's an IT manager, and he taught me a lot about PC just from me mainly annoying him when he would spend like late nights working on his or whatever, and it's just what I've always been used to. But what turned me was in our sophomore year, junior year in our broadcast program. If you remember, we had those PC towers.
Oh yeah.
And those things ran so slow and crashed on me so much that I decided, no, I can't do this anymore. And then our broadcast advisor, Mr. Andrew Marine, he had just made the switch to Mac himself, which he vowed to never do until he saw the light of day. And he got an iMac and like a MacBook Air, which I have a MacBook Air. And he started showing me the ins and outs of how to run video editing software on the Air and how to, to use the basics of Apple's OS.
Yeah, I
and
understand what you
then
mean.
our senior year, we got an entire new broadcast lab full of iMacs.
Yeah.
And once I started using them, I started realizing I really want this. And it's just more because of the simplicity, and there's a lot of stuff. I don't do a lot of the gaming or anything.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was gonna agree with you. Yeah, Max is very like project based, and like, and in that case, I could see that being the better choice for the school and for the broadcast program because they're very, very copy paste. When there's one problem, all of them have the same problem kind of situations for Macs in general. So that would help run the program smoother. But me, why I've always been a PC is because I'm one of the people who want to pump as much money into it to get as much product out as possible, where there's a bottom and a top to, in my opinion, to Macs or Apple products in general. And I've always been into the higher end video games, so as soon as I can get the best of the best video games, I would want to build a computer, which I did to be able to do that, where I feel like some of the Apple products could not reach that potential.
Oh no, and it doesn't help that like Apple is not built for gaming at
True.
all. Like there are some games that will run on the Mac OS, but really all I use it for is editing these videos, doing a lot of my graphics work, and doing my basic school stuff. Then that's really it. I just find it to be a lot faster, and when there are problems, I feel like they're easier to resolve, and I don't encounter as many issues. And
it's also like a brand new idea. Like Apple in general is like it's not just starting out, obviously, but there's just such a limit to what Apple has that you can get support like that.
Yeah.
You can get support really quickly.
And they're also the first personal computer, so they've had that name that's been trusted like forever. And you know that when you buy Apple, you're always buying something that, I hate this tagline, but it just works.
I was gonna touch on that later. The whole theory of, I bought this, the name makes it what it is. Things like that. Let's go in a little bit detail. So I have 4 categories, and I want you to try to counteract my points that I think about those different categories of good old PC here versus Mac. So
Go for it.
my first argument is devices. Now, what I find by devices is not little knickknacks, because no one's worried about like the iPod shuffles and the iPod watches and things, the iWatches or whatever you want to call them, things like that. We're worried about where our money is at. I'm talking about our towers and our, well, in your cases, what are they called? The really thick ones, the ones that are basically a tower version.
Oh, the iMacs where it's
The
built in.
iMacs, yeah.
Or you can get the Mac Minis, it's just a little tower thing. Just buy an external monitor for it.
So like the iMaxes versus PC tower, like building in general. I find that Windows has more variety when it comes to what you want to put into there. You can literally customize every last little piece of part in that product to whatever style you want to put your money towards. So like say I want a computer that's focused on video games. I can find good graphics cards and great, already have like the best RAM, the best processor for stuff like that. Or if I want a good editing computer, I can get good visual cards where I have will have great render time or high resolution renders, like for GoPros and things like that. I feel like there's just more flexibility in general with your products when it comes to PC than you do have with your reliable products with Mac.
And see, I used to think that too until I started doing a lot more research, especially what Marine started showing me, is with Mac, what I also feel is if you get the low end, which I have one of the lower ends of the MacBook Air, 4 gig of RAM, I have only 128 of built-in flash storage, and it's an i5 in there, and this thing can crank out 1080p footage like it does every single week that we have on here. The only problem I see is the render time, which I wish that'd be faster, but for doing all my basic stuff and for the price I paid for it, I still get a full HD screen, and I still get a computer that can run essentially any app except the only app I really have issues with is After Effects. But when it comes to building up your Mac computer, when I was looking into it, you can get the Mac Pro, which it is a little tower. It's a little tower, and then you have to get the monitor, which I wouldn't recommend getting a monitor from Apple. It's way too expensive. But you can choose what you're going to put into it, like a normal PC tower. But also when you're ordering a MacBook Pro, or you're ordering an Air or an iMac or whatever, you can go through and select which processor you're going to use that are compatible with it, and how much RAM you want to put into it, how much storage you want to put into it, which start looking at, and they do have very few options for it, for like your internal processor and your how much RAM you can put into it and stuff like that. But they do that because they know this is what will work universally. While there will be differences in obviously storage and how fast it runs, they still know that this will work. Basically, when I last worked with PCs, I had issues on the tower we had built at my house. PCs are 32-bit or 64-bit, and and it varies on the way you built it. Well, on the Apple computers, it's all 64-bit. All the processors that it runs, so you don't have to worry about getting one type of program. While on PC, I had trouble when I was downloading, trying to get the Adobe Creative Suite on there. I was having trouble between the 32 and 64 determining which one would work. And then when I finally got the right one, there were certain other aspects that were mixed matched into the PC that made it not compatible on certain programs. So that's my view from it, is that Mac, you can build it, and then PC, obviously, I love that you can build it, you can choose the right stuff, but you have to know what you're doing with it. Well, Apple is just, they know, and they make it easier for you.
Okay, let's go on to a little bit more, I wouldn't say bias, because it's different personalities go for different things in this category, and I want to touch on games. There's no greater variety of games than a system that can run almost all games that aren't specified for the system. Specifically speaking, iOS games for Apple products in general. Apple has, the rightful monopoly over the iOS games because it makes sense. That is their processor that runs those small Flash games and things like that. Whereas, PC, if you want to venture off into the high definition video games that are also you find on consoles and things like that, you can get a computer capable of running any video game that you possibly could imagine. What is your take on that? What is your fight against the fact that you're not limited?
I'm so limited on here. If I wanted to game, no chance.
Really?
If you're going to game, get a PC. And that's one of the main reasons I also went with a Mac is, you
don't find yourself gaming that often.
Yeah, I don't game. Like, you know me, I play on my 3DS. That's how I game. And there are no games for Mac. If you're going to be doing a lot of gaming, definitely go PC. But if you're going to be doing a lot of mobile gaming, then that's where iOS wins. Because iOS definitely has the most games on any app store, and the way how strict Apple is with how games get on the App Store will ensure that these games will not have glitches or bugs most of the time, and they will run amazingly well.
I find the community for the iOS system to be really well. The whole rate and comment and things like that. I find games commonly having updates, and just getting better and better with bug fixes and things like that. So I do find the games to be very reliable on the iOS system if you're into the Flash games and kind of iOS games in general.
All right, so you already talked about the games and stuff. Now, your next topic on here is security. And obviously there's the Macs don't get viruses versus the PCs always get viruses. Macs do get viruses. I know
really?
someone who I won't specify how I'm related to this person, but I got this text saying, "Hey, what kind of security software do you use on your Mac?" And I don't use any because you really don't have to worry about it. You really don't. And I sent back, I'm like, I don't use any because unless you're watching porn or pirating movies, you aren't going to get a virus. And she was pirating movies. And I kind of go, well,
I gotta touch on
obviously
this.
you've got a virus from that.
So, obviously, when I was doing my research on both the systems, I figured if I was gonna be biased for Macs, if I was gonna be biased for PC, I'll be biased for Macs too, with the whole security measure. But this is what I came across to 90% of the time. Macs don't get viruses. No. Just ignore that phrase. The only thing that gets viruses are stupid people. Stupid people get viruses.
Yes.
It's not the system, it's the user at that point in time.
In PCs, you can keep them clean.
Yeah. You don't find breaching viruses anymore. You don't find viruses that force themselves on your computer. At one form of fashion, you have to fall into the trap and select the options to get the virus on your computer. So there is, it's a nice feature, You don't find it common on here because you don't download a whole lot on Macs. You don't edit your software options a lot on Mac, whereas you do on PC a lot for the different game preferences and downloads online that you can do. That's my argument for PC, though, is, you find viruses a lot because it's so open. You literally can customize it however you want.
Yeah, which
it's good. It's good for an audience that doesn't. It's good for a group of people who doesn't know how the processor works and things like that.
Yeah.
So if you want, no, I was gonna pew. I was like, if you want stupid proof, you go for Mac. But
I wouldn't call it stupid proof because, like I said,
like
it is not stupid proof.
You found that one situation that.
Like, you can still get... In both situations, the virus situation is exactly the same.
How do you report that? Like, let's say you are an Apple user, like, hey, I got a virus. The guy's like, what? I don't know how to help you. That just doesn't happen.
No. The Apple guy will go, oh, you got a virus? Let me Google it. That's what those Apple geniuses do. I'm more of an Apple genius than them. I was helping someone, fix their hard drive issue on their MacBook Pro, and I ran through all these different tests, and we couldn't figure out what it was. We think she needed her hard drive replaced, and she called the Apple store and they asked her all this to do everything that I told her to do. Mm-hmm. And actually they said that's what they were going to do when she brought it in, and they just go, oh, well, we're just gonna have to replace your hard drive then. They aren't geniuses, they're Google experts.
That's exactly right.
So alright, and our last topic is the value, what you get when you pay for this. I think this is kind of this one, there's no definitive answer because PC, it's what you're going to put into it, but also with Apple, it's what you're going to put into it. But I think the only clear way is, I would say laptops is where this is where value, where I believe Apple wins, because with laptops, it does vary, and I've seen a lot of crappy laptops at Walmart and stuff, and with Apple, you know that when you pay for this laptop, you know it's going to work. But when you're getting a PC laptop, you definitely have to pick the right one.
Yeah, I completely agree. With Apple, there's been research in and out on their computers. There's a reason why they only have 4 types of computers. 5?
5. There's the Mac Mini, iMac, MacBook Air, the MacBook, which, don't get it. It's basically a notebook, and it has a processor that doesn't use a fan. It's dumb. And you're going to be paying like $70 for a USB-C adapter.
Exactly.
Then a MacBook Pro.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why, I like the fact that it's so consistent with their very limited selection, and I'm not mean that in a negative connotation. I mean, there is a limited selection because each one's designed for a certain purpose and certain price range. Whereas you'll find whatever you want, from little Acer notebooks to Dells to amazing, other name brands that come with Microsoft.
Lenovo's probably the best for laptops.
Yeah, I would agree. Or there's some off-brand, pro laptops that I've seen. They make one pro laptop for that name brand, which I find have common good results too. The thing is once again, you've got to do your research before you buy. Otherwise, you're not going to have your value handed to you like you're going to get on Macs. Macs have the research done for you, have everything done for you. Very family friendly when it comes to knowing what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to get necessarily all the time with PC products. You've got to do your research to get what you want to pay for.
Oh, yeah. And then with towers, when it comes to the actual desktops, on the iMac, it's going to be about the same options that you get on getting your computer, only they're going to be a lot more powerful, and they're just going to be big versions of the MacBook Pro. They aren't necessarily big versions of the MacBook Pro, but it's going to be, you aren't going to have the vast differences of like a PC laptop versus a PC desktop. And if you're willing to put in the money for an iMac, then you're going to get a super amazing computer. Now, you touch on towers because obviously you built your own, and I think if you're going to go PC, the best way is to build a tower.
I completely agree. You can literally customize to the dot what you want to get out of it. And I did my research, I customized to the dot what I want to get out of it. Will always be kinks with computers in general. The hard reset on and off to fix it will happen in every situation. You'll never find the perfect computer. So basically what we found out of this is it really based on personal preference, and do your research. So if you guys feel so inclined to tell us what your favorite is, you can comment down below, or go to our Instagram and comment on our picture that we're going to have about this show.
Make sure to leave comments about other topics that you guys want us to talk about. Ask us questions. You guys can DM our Instagram, and also you guys can follow us on Snapchat. Make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye! Hello. It's going to be big.
I love the rainbow mouth.
Don't tell me what your favorite one is. You already tell me what your favorite one is?
No.
Let me... Oh, they changed.
Oh, they changed it.
Let's... Okay. I pick...